Okay, here's another thing that chaps my hide. Platypus Day. What's that all about? I mean, let's take the guy who wins every single day and give him his own day.
I think we all know why we're here today. I'm pretty sure the title gives it away some, but maybe not. There's a lot of history to this show that is untold and unspoken. And based off of what I've seen, the fandom's collective archival skills is sitting at like a C- right now. We have not been saving any of this shit. So I decided it was time to finally tell the story of one of the greatest events in Phineas and Ferb history. Now, as you may know, this series is no stranger to a whole slew of contests, events, promotions, campaigns, you name it. And while this particular branding may not look any different from your average everyday marathon, I am here to tell you the exact opposite. Disney pulled out all stops to bring this holiday to life. Platypus Day wasn't just a passing fling. Nay, it was a way of life for millions around the country, for many around the globe. Today, you will get the comprehensive history. The first fact you should probably know about Platypus Day is that it was officially christened in the year of 2011, a very distinct year within the world of Phineas and Ferb. The year when Season 2 aired its final episode, the year where Season 3 aired its first. The year when the show would receive its third standalone game, and of course the year signifying the premiere of Across the Second Dimension.
When our world is threatened, when we need a hero, only one secret agent fits the bill.
You probably find that the peak of the show's rise in popularity was sometime between 2009 and 2012. It was the time when the Mouse House had the most consistent interest in the show. It was the time when the glut of special episodes and events premiered. So by early 2011, they would have been working on the movie for quite some time up to that point. So seeing them trying to tackle something like this early into the year, and using perhaps the most recognizable character of the whole lot to promote one was not too much of a challenge. To kind of underscore the significance of Platypus Day, I did go back into the archives to see if anyone had done something similar. The shows I ended up looking at were the most popular of each respective era up to that point. Kim Possible, the standard bearer of Disney Channel cartoons, she was not the first, but she was probably the greatest. Single-handedly broke the 65-episode rule with her bare hands, and did so by fetching a fourth season that was entirely built off of fan outrage. She's the GOAT, the absolute OG. I think to this day, she's still the only one in this entire cohort that has 2 TV movies. Yes, Candace Against the Universe exists. That's for streaming. Let's keep up pace, huh? Recess, perhaps not as iconic or easily recognizable, but were easily the kings of the heap during the one Saturday morning period. And I mean, they achieved the dream. The absolute power on display here.
6 seasons and a movie!
Yeah, I know, but I would still argue up to current year, it's still nothing to sneeze at, especially since the current titans of our time couldn't even manage that. So close, yet so far. DuckTales, of course, the grandfather of every other Disney TV cartoon to date. DuckTales also got its own movie. It got it a little faster than Recess, actually. And if we want to be petty, we could say that it got this movie entirely based on its own merits rather than just shifting industry trends. Technically, it did share this attraction with 3 other TV properties, but it is still important to acknowledge the existence of the Disney Afternoon Avenue, the greatest to ever do it. Nothing has rivaled the scale of this one. No live show since has lived atop it. Not even you, Doug. Not even you.
Be yourself. Cool theme, Doug. Hey, why do you think they call it a theme park?
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on.
Now I'm choosing to highlight these flexes specifically. Not because these 3 shows aren't important in their own right to the history of TV animation, they definitely are. But what I'm saying is, for as popular as these 3 series were, as important as they were, as well respected as they were, none of these suckers ever got their own holiday. If anyone should have gotten its own holiday, it should have been Scrooge. But nah, Perry was the best to ever do it, because he was the only one to do it. Stateside, the first annual Platypus Day was acknowledged to be the first Saturday in March. But other parts of the world, especially earlier on, did not strictly adhere to this setup. For 9 hours on Disney XD, they had you sit back, relax, and consume some of the most Perry-centric episodes of the show up to that point. Starting off with the premieres of The Great Indoors and Canderemy, 2 early Season 3 classics. Disney Channel had a much shorter slate of episodes, but they did something kind of clever. I didn't even notice it up until now. So the 9-hour marathon on XD was scheduled from about 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. The Disney Channel marathon would pick up exactly at 5 and then go until 8. Literally 12 hours of consecutive marathon viewing. Now that is 5D chess. The marathons that took place around the world were of varying length, but the only one that kind of come close to that one was the one presented on Disney XD Spain. A 14.5-hour block of episodes of the show, of which 3 hours were taken up by Spy Kids 1 and Spy Kids 3. So technically, really, they only showed 11.5 hours of content or so. Not as impressive, but they did sneak some goodies in there as far as I'm told. Overall, a pretty modest setup. You'd be thinking, they weren't going too crazy this year. But then they dropped something on us that was absolutely unprecedented. Oh shit, they're popping off. Easily an 11 out of 10 experience. 2012 was really when the floodgates opened. We were barely 6 months out from the premiere of Across the Second Dimension, and you could feel the excitement in the air. There was no stopping them this time. Disney Channel led the assault with an 11-hour marathon, leading to the premiere of Perry the Octopus at the very end. Disney XD came in clutch with the 12-hour marathon, and they aired Octopus at the beginning of the day. They strike again, they cannot be stopped. Disney XD Canada was going sicko mode. They had a whole ass 18-hour marathon where they premiered like half a dozen episodes exclusive to that channel. Disney Channel Spain did nearly 12 hours sans Spy Kids, so I gotta hand it to them there. There's marked improvement. Other international marathons similarly pulled their weight. But there was only really one thing that was tying everything together this year. That's right. It's the legend itself. This song actually premiered a good month before they started using it. More notably, it was also used as part of a pretty significant campaign at the time. This dance was actually choreographed by the same person who was responsible for Camp Rock 2, meaning that this track shares DNA with some of the most iconic sequences in Disney Channel history. For example, Camp Rock! Magnificent. Technically, this track has been in existence for a long-ass time. There's certain Season 1 episodes where you can hear it being used as a backing track. Yet all they did was dredge it up like 4 or 5 years later, and they put some funky little lyrics to it, and suddenly it's a whole new beast. Believe me when I say they took this matter very seriously. Flash mobs all over the country, events and takeovers on the radio, on TV, online. There was nothing stopping them. And what was amazing about this is that this wasn't just an American phenomenon. The whole world followed suit.
Ecco l'ornito passo. È come Perry habla. Dai che giova tua. Mi fai con bonito
I'm gonna have to hit him with the 1200 out of 10. The hype could not be matched. It was pure platypandemonium all throughout. 2013 is what I would acknowledge to generally be 2012 Part 2, because while the festivities offered were not underappreciated, it was mostly just repeats of stuff they had done the year previous. 2012 also seemed to have the highest turnout out of all the international feeds. They definitely scaled back some by 2013, and it shows. Disney XD came in with the 5-hour marathon. Really, it's like 4.5 because they repeated the premiere of Primal Perry that they had at the very beginning. Kind of a mid-episode, to be honest. Sidetracked actually came out literally the night before on the Disney Channel, which was pretty standard at the time. I mean, Friday nights, that was just the day. But they did miss out on an extraordinary opportunity. Personally, I think they should have switched the episode premieres. Would have made more sense in the long run. Information is kind of limited on the other marathons. I'm not exactly sure what everyone did, but fear not, for this year also ushered in the premiere of one of the greatest remixes of all time.
Agent P, we need to gather our top OWCA agents pronto. Tell them it's time to dust off their dancing shoes, because it's time to recruit some fresh faces to the organization. Are you ready?
I don't think they gave this one the same amount of reach they did with the song before. However, it is still a bop, to put it simply. Not sure if international feeds had decided to cover it with local stars or anything, but it does live on. Was dubbed in Portuguese and Spanish. It's pretty good. All things considered, not really a bust, but not really as bombastic as 2012. We had a lot of the same events around the country, a lot of the same promotions. Subway apparently got in on it, though I think they were offering some of these before this. I think the most hype attraction they had to offer was beefing up the illustrious Where's My Parry game. 20 new levels? 20 new oh man, they were spitting here. They might have been carrying this whole year. I'm gonna have to give this year, I think, a 9 out of 10. I'm not getting the same amount of energy that I did before. And finally, we have 2014. Now, of course, this was the final year, you know, the second to last possible time they could have run this promotion before the show officially ended. Though I'm gonna be honest, having this follow up something like Act Your Age would be very weird. I feel like it'd be plunged in the Twilight Zone, but that's neither here nor there. Disney XD maintained things with a 4-hour marathon. They premiered Live and Let Drive, aka the Top Gear collab. Brazil got their hands on an episode months and months before we'd even get it. The second Cliptastic countdown, or really the third within their region. They made their own, and it was way better.
Oh. Voguing, that's it. Look it up, kids. That's what the internet is for.
You know, I'm not really concerned with this one. They can have that. I'm not really worried. As far as events go, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they didn't do shit. By this point in time, people were starting to lose track of the show. There would be months and months between certain episode premieres. Some would premiere online, some would premiere on XD. It really didn't matter at this point. While they kept up the branding, at least for this final time, it was a markedly different experience than it would have been 3 years previous. I can't even rank this one. It's just too depressing. It's incomplete. You know, it doesn't even feel like a real festivity. Where is the holiday spirit? And thus comes the end of the official canonical Platypus Day timeline. I do find it quite unlikely, but Disney Channel could definitely try to bring that shit back. 90% of the channels that participated originally are gone. They just don't exist anymore. So I think it is important to remember what we once had, because it's definitely not going to feel the same if it does return. Though I will say that I think Disney Channel Germany deserves some credit, because as far as I can tell, they've been going absolutely crazy over there.
Schnabeltierfans, aufgepasst! Es ist wieder Schnabeltiertag im Disney Channel.
It's our holiday, and they've stolen it wholesale. The spirit lives on abroad, and we didn't even know about it. It's not hard to forget that this holiday primarily existed just to sell a bunch of plastic. Superfluous. Could live with or without it, honestly. I think if it does come back, it probably needs to be a bit more meaningful. Something interesting of note was that literally a year after the show had sunsetted, its conservation status had actually been revised from being of the least concern to being near threatened. In the wild, their numbers continue to dwindle due to a variety of circumstances. When this premiered, this was actually kind of a joke, but now it is actually aging better than we would like it to.
The greatest enemy of the platypus is man.
Hi there!
It is entirely possible that the new generations of kids that are trying to court with this revival will never see like a platypus within their lives. I think if it did make a return, I think it should definitely be centered around actually helping the animal they've been cribbing off of for years. I don't think it would be a stretch to say that this show helped popularize it. There have been cartoons that have been using platypi for years and years before and after, but this one undoubtedly put a spotlight on it that remains uncontested to this very day. Though if there is the possibility of some type of fan-led revival to take place, now would be the time to do it. Remember, when this thing was active, they didn't even celebrate this thing in March all the time. They celebrated it in June, July, August, May. They didn't give a fuck. Germany's celebrating it in January, February nowadays. Simply put, Platypus Day can be any day. It can even be every day. It's just a matter of what you make of it. I'm gonna go try and make the most of the rest of my day, the probably like 37 minutes that'll be left of it by the time this goes out. I will see you around.